Welcome, dreamers, to the show tonight, today, wherever you are, because in dream time, it's always just now. I am with my amazing friend, Walter Berry, who has written an incredible book called Drawn into the Dream: How Drawing Your Dreams Can Take You to the Land of Oz. AWES, Oz. I like to call him King Dreams a lot, but most everybody else calls him the Wizard of Oz. He is, you're okay. So there's many things. We're going to be talking about the International Association for the Study of Dreams, IASD, big conference that's coming up this June. It's virtual. And Walter, you are playing 1,000 roles and wearing many hats. Can you start off by, let's just talk about that for a moment, and then let's talk about being drawn into the dream.
Okay. Well, the first thing is I'm chair of the Visual Arts Committee, and it's astounding. We had like 230 entries, 75 different artists it's gonna be online this year. Usually it's in person, but these are artists who also are dreamers. And the art is incredible. The art is just astounding. I spent hours and hours and hours reading all the artists' bios and their statements and the dreams that are connected to it. It's astounding. So I'm chair of the arts committee, and we're going to have a great show that'll be connected to the conference. So if you go to the conference, you'll see it. There'll be a connection to it, and look at all the art. It's amazing. It's just astounding. This guy, like for instance, just a good example, just real quick. Guy from Kent, a little island in England, right? He made a 14-minute video of all the people in his little tiny island and their dreams, and melded it together and put this weird soundtrack behind it. You see trains going by and people in cars and flying things, and it's amazing. There's some just amazing things that come out of this. So yeah, anyway, that's one of the main things that I'm working on for the conference is the art.
And you've won before. There was a piece of dream created art that, I mean, you've been a part of it for a long time, but there was one
Yes.
particular piece that I can never unsee. And you know which piece I'm talking about? It had something to do with a gigantic vagina
Yes,
that was giving birth.
yeah, you can't see it, but well, maybe if I take my phone over here, you can.
Oh,
It's actually hanging on the wall there.
oh, okay. So wait, show us. So it's like a bit, you were being birthed
Yeah,
you were being birthed,
yeah,
rebirthed.
exactly. And it was a fantastic dream in which
Wow.
it's from childhood. It was a recurring dream, and what happened is
Mm.
that the I was in this basketball court, and what happened was I would blow a whistle, and every time I blow a whistle, these walls, these like vaginal walls, would come in and just capture me and crush me to death. And so I kept blowing the whistle, and they would back off. So that was the recurring dream, and I didn't realize it until later on that it was probably a vagina.
Oh my God. So you are I've been to your dream groups before, and they're always so lively. And even for non-artists, like I don't consider myself an artist, even though I did submit a piece into
Mm-hmm.
the piece.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
Yes. Yeah.
You were a part of that piece. And so I already kind of know the answer to this question because I just did this myself. But what do you get when you turn a dream into art? What do people get when they do that?
Well, what happens? This is kind of my bailiwick, as it were. What
Yeah.
happens is something amazing. I discovered this early on because I had trouble with figuring out what people are talking about with their dreams. But when you actually draw it or put it onto a piece of paper in some form, even if it's just telling the story with like little stick figures and blobs of color and stuff, what happens is it establishes a story. It
Yeah.
establishes the dream in front of you. It's a visual piece. And what happens then when you work with the dream in person like that, the dream, in a way, this sounds crazy, comes alive on the art. It's now, when I'm talking about the dream, I'm looking at the person climbing up the hill and flying and all these things, and I'm talking about it. but instead of the focus being on some sort of theoretical thing or some words or making projections about, oh, this is about my mother and all this kind of stuff, it is you looking at the dream and saying, oh, what about that orange hat that the guy's got on with a propeller on it? What's that about? And there's a way that it focuses the intent onto the dream, and that's where the magic happens. That's where the magic happens. Yes.
Right. So you felt so passionate about this that you wrote a whole book
Yes.
about your experiences and some of the people who have attended your dream groups and some of the
Hmm.
breakthroughs. Can you talk about any of the breakthroughs that you've had personally and or any of the ones that you've witnessed?
Yeah. Actually, this is kind of a oh, it's you and I just talking, right? Nobody's listening.
It's
I
just us.
had
Right.
I'm this actually is this is going into the second book, but it's very similar to
Okay.
book then. In the
Ooh.
second book, I had this horrible nightmare. I mean, an absolute killer nightmare where I'm living in Berlin with this beautiful woman, but but our a roommate, we have a roommate, and it's Adolf Hitler. Okay.
Oh,
And
I hate it when that happens.
I know, but it's like it's Adolf Hitler, and I'm doing his wash, but he has special soap that he has for his wash and stuff. And I go like, "Ooh." Anyway, well, it turns out that he wants to have sex with me. Hitler wants to have sex with me. So, and
Duh.
I look at this beautiful woman. I go, "What are you doing?" Because she goes, "Well, you better do it because he's the Fuhrer. We could be dead." And I go, holy crap. So I climb on the bed and he comes at me like a wolf. And he starts having sex with me. I'm having sex with Hitler in a dream. And
Oh
what
my
happened
God.
was I get to a point where I can't handle it anymore and I scream. I scream so loud. And when I do, I wake up and I'm on the floor next to my bed with all my sheets wrapped around my head. And it was a nightmare. It was an absolute freaking nightmare. So, I drew it and I worked with it. And what it does is that it's what the hell is this about? What it's a mystery to me. It's like it's a great mystery. Why? I don't know Hitler. I don't, but it's like it's representational, as we know. Dreams are always speak in metaphors. They speak
Mhm.
in symbols, and the darkest symbol you can actually find of the shadow or of the darkest thing is Hitler, right?
Right, right.
So,
It's true.
right. So, in drawing it and in working it, I realized that what it was is that there's part of me that is a dark shadow part, and it has to do with
Mm,
what the part that I ignore, that I don't accept,
right.
that I don't, I'm a kind of a lovely, happy kind of whoopee kind of guy,
Yes,
but
right. Right,
there's a
right.
part of me, that is like just as dark as anybody else in some places, corners. And what I realized was it's actually about success. What it is that the Hitler part is that um, I'm afraid of success. I'm afraid if my book goes into big and stuff like that,
Right,
I won't be
right.
able to control my green groups. I'm afraid of success. That's what the
Mm.
message of the dream was, and to get
Whoa.
over it, because it turns out that what I actually analyzed in the dream is that Hitler is after the war. He has no power. And so it was like when I
Mm.
realized that, I restructured the dream. I went, wait a minute, I don't have to have sex with Hitler. It is. Then it became a thing about balancing
Ah.
our shadow and our light.
Mm.
You know what I mean? If
Right.
that's what it's about for me, it's finding the way to like where are the dark parts of myself and where are the light parts of myself, and how do I integrate them? How do I put them together? How do they make them work so that I'm a whole person? That's what I
No,
got
it
out of
is
it.
so it's there's so many things I want to say about this dream. So there's one thing it's so powerful to me. There's the drawing aspect, like kind of getting it out of your system, drawing it
Mhm.
out,
Ooh, yes,
literally,
yes.
so that it's not having to live in here, like putting it somewhere sacred in some way, but also the taboo aspect is gone because at least at least with you and
Mhm.
most of the folks at IASD, I don't know every single one, but I would say all the ones that I've met, we could talk about having sex with Hitler and nobody would flinch. Nobody would say, "Oh, we can't talk to Walter anymore. He just had sex with Hitler."
Right, right, right.
I mean, we could talk about the darkest things. Like in waking life, we could never, if that was a reality, we'd be more than ostracized. It would be,
Yes.
but so this is a way, just dreams by themselves, being able to talk about them because we know it's a dream. It's something that's not quite exactly us, and although it is, but it's a symbolic part. So
Right, right.
it's safe to talk about, whereas we might not even know what to talk about. If we were going to say, well, let's embrace our shadow, be like, oh,
Hmm.
that's a nice theory, that sounds like a really good thing to do, I've done
Yeah.
that, next. No, no, I mean, I had a really frigging dark one the other day that I almost couldn't say, and I still almost don't want to say because it was so dark. But I will say, I want to say what I got out of it first, because since we're going here, Walter,
Yes.
because I feel like there's something about Debbie Ford wrote a book called The Dark Side of the Light Chasers. And
Mm. Yeah, yeah.
I think most people drawn to this kind of conversation, to a conversation about dreams, they're aspirational sorts. They're people that want to live in the light. They're not people that plan to do diabolical harm to anybody. So
Right.
I would assert that across the board. So we're all
Mhm.
light chasers, which means by definition, we all have a shadow that is probably not fully embraced. And by embraced, I don't mean that the shadow takes over. I mean that it's worked with, it's alchemized, it's put in its place. Is there anything you want to say about that before I go on to my dream?
No, you go, girl.
No, no, no. But
Hmm.
but I realized, oh gosh. So I don't even exactly know where I went. It was so scary, but I did have some peace around it, and I'll see if I could remember what the piece was. But basically, I was putting on a retreat, which happens in most of my dreams.
Right.
And in this particular one, everyone was arriving in this very upscale, lovely, kind of cabiny, Colorado, cool, chic place. And I realized they were all here for the weekend, and I forgot food. I had nothing to feed them with, and we were in the mountains. There was like no food. And I was like, I can't believe that. I can't. So I was running around and I asked the person who owned the home, "Do you have spaghetti? Could we get some spaghetti? Because that'll last." And then I was talking to somebody about how times have become so hard financially that people have taken to eating babies.
Ooh. Oh.
See, I told you. And but it wasn't me that was eating babies, but in the dream, I had that thought that it was that people had become, like, things were so desperate.
Oh.
So I woke up with this like, oh, oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Mm-hmm.
I think there's some little connection between your dark dream and mine, because
Mm-hmm.
those
Mm-hmm.
both of those scenarios are things that only desperate people would do. Only a desperate person would allow themselves to, like, you would only, like, you wouldn't even wanna have that choice. I would rather be dead than have sex with Hitler. You would
Yes.
probably too. I would rather be dead than have to do what I
Mm-hmm.
said.
Right.
But there's something about, like, we are both light people, and yet there's a
Mm-hmm.
place where we sell, or we are afraid of selling ourselves out to do something that would go so against ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
that we would do something that would be harmful, because everyone in the dream is an aspect of us, I think most of the
Yes.
time.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I don't know. I think it brings up places of like compromise, and even the prostitute archetype and the
Mhm.
survivalist
Yes.
archetype. And I don't know. Where do you go with that, Walter?
Well,
How
where
would
I go
you
with,
draw that?
yeah, I mean, you know me, I can't stand to not play with a dream.
Yeah.
With that one, I would have to, in a sense, the same thing I have to do with my dream is that I have to, in a sense, realize that Hitler is a symbol and that
Yeah.
it's something that it's not actually that. And so I think that in your dream, this, if this were my
Oh,
dream,
yeah.
it has to do with being fed by the baby part of myself. You know,
Oh, wow.
it's the new life. It's actually that if I go on this retreat, the I mean, this is maybe I'm just analyzing it for
Yeah,
myself.
of course.
But if
Yes.
this is my part, my retreat, I need to, the way I need to feed these souls is to not talk to them about things. I'm not like, I need to feed them with baby ideas. I need to feed them with
Ooh.
a new presence, a new life, It's all about renewal. And I would do that as a theme for this and go, okay, it's about everybody needs to find their baby self or their new self that they've started. Anyway, that's
Ooh,
the
I
sort of
like
thing that,
that.
yeah, yeah,
That's kind of a cool way of looking at that dream. One other way I was looking at it, because you brought up your book, so I'm going to make it
yeah.
about mine. So
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking sometimes when I birth something new, I'm all
Mm-hmm.
the most exciting part for me is in the making of the baby, you know,
Mm. Yes,
is
yes,
the like
yes,
the co-creation with God, and that like it's kind of like having sex. Like, oh my God, that's the fun part. But
yes,
then
yes.
actually birthing it, it's kind of like, oh, now what do I have to
Mm.
do with it? Now I got to promote this book. I've got to take it
Yes,
out,
yes,
show it to
yes.
people, and like rather just like kind of just I don't know, just eat it.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather just birth it and move on. And
Yeah.
I don't know, like leaving a baby off to the side, like Monty Python's The Meaning of Life. Do you ever see
Mm-hmm.
that where they're just birthing
Yes.
babies? Like,
Oh
oh,
God.
there's so many of you, we can't afford to feed you. We're sending you all off to scientific experiments. Oh my God. See, we could talk about dark things, put them into the light, and then the shame is gone. So, really, what I still have yet to do is to draw that dream, to even
Okay.
draw it
Yeah.
further out and see. Because I'm not a drawer. Not everybody has to be. You
Yeah.
talked about
Yeah.
it's
No, you don't
fine to
have to.
be a
Yeah.
stick figure person.
Yeah.
Okay. So, doing that might add some additional layers of objectivity.
Exactly. Exactly. It's just trying to get a distance from the dream so that we're not like going, oh, I know what this is about. It's like, no, let it be a picture. Let it be a messy picture. Yeah. And see where it
I
goes.
love that.
Yeah.
I love
No,
that.
it's
So
really quite
you're
stuff.
going to be, so you're doing a lot of things at this upcoming IASD conference.
Yeah, a
And
little bit, the art
so,
show I'm
and if
doing.
people are interested, they can go to asdreams.org and
Hmm.
sign up for the virtual conference so you can get to it wherever you are in the whole world, past, present, future, whatever plane of reality you're on, you can
Yep.
go there. And so, Walter, while people are there, they're going to see what are they going to see you be a part of? Some of
The
you're a panel, right?
yeah, I'm on a panel of, again, it's an artist thing. Deirdre Barrett, who's the president, and does
Yes.
incredible art. She uses a lot of programming stuff. It's not completely AI, but her stuff is now
Yeah.
like internationally recognized. And she's going to talk about her process, right, of creating art from dreams. And then Julia Lockhart, you know her probably. She does this thing with her husband where he works a dream and she takes pages out of the interpretation of dreams from Freud and she draws pictures. I mean, she paints over it and at the dream as they're working it. And it's amazing. The words that end up left on the page are like, crossing a bridge, and the dream is about crossing a bridge.
Oh my
It's
gosh.
really some cool stuff. So she does that. Deirdre does her stuff, and I'm, me and my many things that I've done with art. Yeah.
Well, I
It'll be
think
fun.
one of the coolest things about coming to the conference is being around you. I mean, if because
Uh-huh.
you are the essence of dreams. You are the perfect dream ambassador because there's so much depth and juiciness and intelligence, but so much fun and
Uh,
not taking anything too seriously. And
exactly,
yet
exactly. Yeah.
you come from Hollywood, the business, and you know how to light things up. And that Firebird exhibit that you did, it inspired my mermaid throne.
Oh, yeah,
So
yeah, yeah, yeah,
the art
exactly.
can inspire other art. So tell people about the Firebird.
Yeah, a friend of mine is an animator, Keith Heimbach, and he had these big Firebird dreams where he goes into the Firebird and asks it three questions, and it's like, who are you? What is life about, or something? Anyway, three questions he asked, and so what we did is we set up like a Firebird throne, and I lit it with this heavy red light. I mean, just people where it would just make your eyes burn. And we set people in it and had them ask the questions, and it was amazing. It was a great experience. That suddenly things just appeared because there's something about the theatricality of it and sitting in those lights and something and also in the presence of the guy's an animator and he's a really good animator. So we had that stuff too, an animation of it going on too. So it was, yeah, it there's the props sometimes they gets kind of really okay. I also did one where I took, again, I'm a lighting guy. I took everybody in the room, I completely saturated with the room, the whole room, with all the curtains down, stuff like that. Turned the entire room like every color in any color that they wanted to, and I would tell dreams in this complete red, and it would change the tone of the dream, and
Oh,
green
wow.
and yellow and gold and stuff. It was, anyway, it's a theatrical kind of thing, but I just love the way of, the idea is to like take the dream and do something with it, not just talk about it, but do something with it. You know what I mean? It needs to come alive.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. So I'm in the Instagram feed and it's hilarious because Brett Walker, he just tuned in when either you or I was saying something about sex with Hitler. He's like, "What?" And he says he spit out his water. And yeah, it's pretty hilarious.
Well,
So,
yeah.
oh my goodness, it is wild the things that, and it's all healing. I mean, we heal in our dreams. So what, for some people, somebody that's maybe new-ish to dreams,
Mhm.
what are they about? What are we doing with our dreams from your perspective?
Dreams are it come from the unconscious, which is a place that you can't access immediately. You can do it. There's a few ways that you could do it, but it's the unconscious, which is that part of ourselves that just is completely hidden from us, but knows everything. It's like that. It's the Jiminy Cricket, or it's the something behind ourselves. It's that thing, and the clues come up because it looks at us and say, "Yeah, okay, you're having a fight with your brother again." And it brings up and it says, you remember the other time and the other time and the other time. Well, I'm going to bring you a dream about, we're going to put you in a sack over a cliff, and we're going to put waves crashing on you. And, it's, so the dreams speak a symbolic language, but they want to teach us something about what we should do. Uh, a follow-up dream to my Hitler thing, as I was
Oh, God.
working that, was an astounding, completely opposite of that. I am, I'm hanging around in this place, and there's these two women, and they're like fairies. They have butterflies and stuff, right? Oh, here, let me get the
Wow.
here. It's like,
Oh, wow.
yeah,
Let's
it's
see.
like
Oh my gosh. Oh,
you could.
wow.
Yeah. So there are two of these characters that are hanging around with me. And what
Oh my
happens
gosh.
is in the dream is that they are trying to teach me something, which is that I don't know how to stay still. I am kind of a trickster, wild character person. And so what they do, and so we get to the point where they're actually singing to me and they're serenading me.
Mm.
And as that happens, I get in tune with them. But then I'll lose the tune, and I started floating, and then I fall down. But eventually the three of us connect, and we float, and I realize that it's about the balance between these two fairies and myself, that if I can hold that, if I can do that, it'll make me whole and be okay. So that's kind of
Oh
the,
my
you
God.
know, it was a really beautiful dream. And it's exactly, I think of that as sort of like, the one fairy is kind of like poetry, the other fairy is sort of like information, and I'm kind of the trickster in between. And so it's how to write the book that I'm now writing. It says, don't just be facts, don't just be poetry, be
Mm.
this beautiful mix of it. And so it changed how I was writing the book. It's
I would say it's a great way
I'm
to live.
I'm letting it run in a different way. Anyway, sorry to,
No, it's
I get
well,
so
no.
excited by this stuff.
I know, I know. So Brett also said, such cool imagery. Thanks for sharing it. And he said, and the space is important to it's a safe space to discuss this openly. The
Yeah.
dream space is safe. There are
Hmm.
no taboos. I mean,
Yes.
in fact, the idea is that the Iroquois that did dream theater, they could act out their dreams, even if it was making love to another person's spouse or taking something that belonged to somebody else. I mean, that was kind
No.
of next level. We're just talking about
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
But it's all alchemy, and they're all parts of, there's nothing that isn't us. There's like
Yes, yes.
anything that exists in reality is at least a pixel within us. And when
Exactly.
it comes to the dark stuff, but even the light, talking about this fairy, these fairies that came in
Hmm.
that this beautiful song. I mean, we might not talk about that if something so extraordinary happened in waking reality. We might keep it to ourselves because it's like, I don't want people to think I'm weird. But if it's a dream,
Yeah.
it's like it's not exactly us. So there's a freedom
Yeah.
around it to share about it, and we are talking about ourselves. P.S. But
Yes. Yes. And
um,
what I find is that, and this is what the second book is about, is that it's about the discovery. It's about that moment where I'm thinking about what is this fairy doing and what am I doing with the fairy and blah blah blah. And the stuff that we're talking about right now, because I feel like I'm
mm,
now in this space. I'm in that fairy space. I'm in that Hitler space. It's like it's the mystery. And in that, not the results. I'm like, oh, I know what it's about in the movement of the mystery itself. What is this about, and how, why would people eat children, and in that investigation and in that horror and stuff, emotions happen, things happen. That's where life is. This is life. Life is mystery, and the exposure to it and the use of it. It's just phenomenal stuff.
and this is how we grow. We don't grow in a cave or in a closet. We grow when we get it out, and it's all a part of ourselves. And we're growing. This isn't, yeah. I mean, the things that we could get arrested for or be banished for, or are it's just part of our spirit that we're exploring. So we're not, we're not condoning anything here, but it is just part of the psyche trying to work itself out because
Mhm,
we're everything, we're everyone. And this
mhm.
is how we grow so that we can't, I mean, this is a world
Yeah.
in which so many of us are feeling incredibly powerless. We turn on the news and we're just so filled with cortisol and adrenaline, just
Yes.
because we
Yes.
are watching things happen that we have nothing that we can do, but we can do so much on the inner plane as we
Hmm.
work out our own demons, our own shadows, as we
Hmm.
love and heal these parts of ourselves. Maybe we do, as we are lifted, all are lifted. What do you think about that? Is that
Oh.
something that we can start to wrap this show up with?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, it's just so quick to do this. It is about that. Is that even with all the shit that goes around, stuff that goes around in the world,
You can say whatever you want, Walter.
it is, it is in our personal worlds and what we deal with that is so important. It's about our own mysteries. It's about the fairies floating. It's about Hitler. It's about eating babies. It's about many, many things.
Oh my
you know
God.
and it's like,
Oh my God.
if we live in that place, we understand there's some connection we have when we do that. There's a magic that happens when we're connected to the unconscious, when we're connected to our interior selves. It's about enlightenment, it's about growing, it's about moving forward, it's about being part of something. And the community is the other piece of it. It's like when you
Yeah.
share dreams and you work with people that are
Yeah.
like, I have dream, it's like, that's golden. It's just golden.
Right. Okay. So, last but not least, what can people expect to get from going to the IASD conference? And thank you, Brett Walker, for putting the link into Instagram. It's asdreams.org, ASDREAMS.org. And that used to stand for the Association for the Study of Dreams before it
Yeah.
was the International Association for the Study of Dreams. People are like,
Yep.
that's a weird website, As Dreams. What? No.
Burr.
What?
Yeah.
At some point,
Well, I think what's happening is there are different, what do you call them, segments, at the same
yeah,
time. Yeah.
yes,
And
lots of
you have.
programs or different, yeah,
Exactly.
tracks.
So, you can go and listen to the scientists. We're talking about, like, I had 4 dreams that I farted in. I had 6 dreams that I urinated in. I'm sorry, there was actually a guy who did that. Oh, I didn't say that out loud, did I? Anyway, but there is the science of it is really important.
No
But
judgment, but
nobody
hey,
did
if
it
you're
all.
into that, it's here
Right.
for you.
But then you have these people that are talking about, like, that movie that I'm talking about, that 14-minute thing with the guys did from his island. It's like, wow,
Yeah,
this connection to dreams. There are all kinds of subjects, lucid dreaming. There'll be, like, all sorts of, like, people who do all sorts of different dream work and have had different experiences in the world with this. And it's just astounding. It's like, and you can pick. You pick whatever you want to do it. There's enough there that whatever it is you end up with, it will be a great experience.
Right. So there's lucid dreamers, there's scientific dreamers, there's
Yep.
shamanic dreamers,
Mm-hmm.
there's scholarly dreamers, there's fringy dreamers, there's artist dreamers, there's kind of any archetype, long as it
Mm-hmm.
connects back to dreams, that's what you get. It's an amazing community. I absolutely love being a part of the International Association for the Study of Dreams. Say that 10 times fast. IASD, and the website is asdreams.org. And the conference is this June. It's June 21st through the 25th,
Mm-hmm.
and it's all virtual all day long, basically,
Mm-hmm.
starting in June. And you can get your tickets now, and you want to be it. I'm going to be speaking about dreamifesting, how to manifest a better life, more health, wealth, good things that you want in your life by letting your dreams do the heavy lifting, because why not? You know, if you got to do it the hard way or the dreamy way, pick, it's your choice. So that's what I'll be talking about. And Walter Berry, I'm going to give you a big virtual hug. I'm used to giving you an in-person hug, but I'll just have to see you in person one of these days. And thank you so much for helping me create the mermaid chair, the mermaid throne, which was
Oh,
so magical.
you're a
So I
mermaid.
thank you, Walter Berry, and thank you, International Association for the Study of Dreams. I hope I see everybody there. And until we all meet again, don't take your dreams lying down. Sweet dreams.